Hey guys, welcome to Pop Culture Curiosities, where Gabe and I talk about pop culture events that interest us, and we usually incorporate our own stories from set. It's so good to see you. They in their reality of time, they've only missed you for a week, but it's been like almost a month since you've been here.
Yeah, I'm happy to be back, everybody.
I know, I missed Gabe.
I missed being surrounded by the Hex girls, Nancy Drew, and chatting with Avery about stuff and things.
Yeah. Stuff and things. We have stuff and things today.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And I learned, and thanks to Maddie, I learned that I can somehow ask Spencer to add, like, soundboard stuff, and I have a list, Spencer. He just adds a Wilhelm scream and is like, that's all you're getting. But I'll talk about that later, but it's good to be back.
Oh, my gosh. It's good to have you back. Where is my little... Oh, shoot. I'm trying to find the key fob. AKA just the remote for the lights. That totally runs the space machine.
Oh, no.
Where did it go?
Oh, no.
Huh. Maybe Spencer took it. Maybe
Why
he's
would
just
Spencer
like,
do that?
Maybe he's just like, oh, it's on the floor.
Oh,
I was like
J-Lo. Sorry. Because she has the song called On the Floor, everyone. Don't read too much into the Tonight we gon' be it on the floor? Is that
That's what I thought it was.
I don't understand what people are saying in these songs.
I've had because that one song has been blowing up on YouTube Shorts where it's that Pitbull song, International Love, and it's been playing in my head over and over and over, and I'm like, please stop.
I remember when that song, I think it was like Makeba was playing the that was on so many reels. People were like, it's popular, let me just add it to a reel that I made. And I'm just like, okay, manoging, yeah, all that fun stuff. Anyway, yeah. I'm finally starting to understand the strife of my parents, like when 80s stuff came back and like 80s music was playing all over again, and my parents were just like, this was inescapable, please, I'm not ready yet. I'm not ready to hear it again. I'm understanding, because like all the 2000s 2010 songs are coming back, and some of them are good, but some of them are just like, this Adele song played on 3 stations simultaneously. You couldn't get away from it, please. Oh, speaking of Adele, I know I can't talk about it here, but that show that rhymes with flea, wink, where there's a version of the song by Adele called Turning Tables that Gwyneth Paltrow sings, and I love it so much, but I can't relate to it. I'm like, I'm not in a relationship. Who am I turning a table? What, underneath your thumb, I can't breathe. And I won't sing because I don't want to torture everybody. But
as a kid, like singing like breakup songs, it's like, no, as if you knew 7-year-old me.
Yeah.
But today, to start off, we're not going too far back. It's been a second since you've been in the fandom nondescript time machine, so you know.
I missed you.
We'll take it slow for the first trip back. Where are we? Oh, we're going back to 2020. Where nothing of interest happened.
Is this where I talk about my first soundbite where it's Zoe from Digimon Tamers going, execute?
Yes.
Whoa. Or please no. Why?
The camera just glitched because even the fandom nondescript time machine is just like, please. So in 2020, The world was introduced. Yeah, right. We're vaccinated.
No, I'm talking about Big Ed. No, I'm just kidding. I'm sorry.
So the world was introduced to Big Ed, who became a reality show sensation and global meme.
I remember on Luxeria, I've been watching a lot of her videos. She always uses the clip of Big Ed going...
Yeah.
But...
So before we get into this, we're going to be talking about the Big Ed saga. And this video is, I was telling you a little bit about this. This is basically dedicated to 16 Leo, who is a great YouTuber who's been covering Big Ed since his first debut on 90 Day Fiance. He does a lot of reality show stuff. You'd probably love his channel if you don't watch it. But I was looking for something to watch while I was crocheting, and I ended up watching all of his Big Ed playlist back, which is like almost 40 videos now, I think, because every time he thinks this is going to be the last Big Ed thing, it's not, and now he's just committed to the bit, and he's just like, I'm going to be covering this man until I die, apparently. And we appreciate his sacrifice for that. So I started taking notes of the main important things. But go watch all of 16 Leo's videos because they're very funny. But his helped me pinpoint the timeline without having to literally go back and watch all of 90 Day Fiancé. So thank you, Leo. We appreciate you for that.
The sacred timeline of 90 Day Fiancé.
Oh, there's nothing sacred about the 90 Day Fiancé anything. I have notes. Okay, let me pull up my notes because the notes are quite silly. So Big Ed. Go back.
Spencer, can you please insert RuPaul doing the I can't wait to see how this turns out?
I can't wait to see how this turns out. Oh.
Sorry, I only have 4 that I'm asking for, Spencer, and I'm sure he's like...
I bet Spencer's just gonna Google RuPaul and then the quote, because he's never seen RuPaul to my knowledge, so... Spencer, we need you to watch RuPaul.
And then the other 2 are the Inosuke laugh that you already did, and the Nani from Fist of the Northern Star.
Oh, side note, Maddie had me watch all of the live action One Piece, and it was actually really good.
I love that. I love the show.
Good. It's so rare that a live action anything is good, but they did such a good job.
They did, but I don't know how much we can say.
We cannot. That's not a promotion. Pay your people, Netflix, please.
Or I followed one of the actors on Instagram, and I'm just like, swoon.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm not going to say which one. It's like, oh, they're so cool and relatable. Comment down below who you think I'm talking about. Winner gets nothing except for knowing they're right.
They're all cool and relatable to I'm sure to different people. They're all differently relatable.
Yeah, on Facebook I saw a bunch of videos where they're like they're just doing like fun things, and I'm just like, oh, look at they look like they like each other as like friends, and I'm like, oh, that's nice to see.
I need to actually go back and I should read it, but I also want to. I've never seen the anime.
Oh gosh, I'm in the middle of watching a 5-hour video about the life of Luffy, and I watched an hour. Like I think it was 2 hours for like. Not even the whole thing, but it's not, I don't know if it's a halfway point, but I watched a 2-hour video. So it's like, I know what happens ish. And I've seen some of the anime and I saw it and I'm just like, oh no, it might take me a while to get into the anime.
There's so much of it. We can talk about the anime.
Yes.
That's not what this podcast is about, unfortunately. Can you tell that I'm stalling because I'm looking at my notes going, oh God.
Big Ed is sitting at his computer watching, being like, what about me?
Well, sorry about this, Big Ed. Yeah, so it's a segue back to where we are, or where we're supposed to be here in 2020, the greatest of all years. I take notes when I'm doing, because that's why I wanted to start the podcast, is I'm always like going down these rabbit holes, and then I'm just like, I need to tell somebody about this. So like taking notes on this kind of stuff is one of my favorite things, but then I'm just like, I can't wait to tell him this, and then I sit here and I'm like, oh God, I have to tell you this now. I'm so sorry.
I give great reactions. So
you do. Yeah, no, I'm like, oh, Gabe is gonna love this, or Gabe won't love this, but we will love Gabe's reaction to this. But okay, so Edward Allen Brown, better known as Big Ed, he rose to reality TV stardom beginning in 2020 when he first appeared on the popular TLC show 90 Day Fiance. So I haven't seen all that much of 90 Day Fiance. I've seen some. But I had already given up on it by the time Big Ed was on. I mostly follow the universe through other people now because I'm just like, TLC is exhausting. Let's be honest. TLC is exhausting. TLC brought us MILF Manor. Now they're coming back with this. Until the strike is over, we can't cover any movies. So you know what? You're getting more reality TV stories from us. There you go.
The strike.
Yes. But if you don't know about 90 Day Fiancé, the show is all about people quickly getting married, usually to people they've met online. And after just 90 days of, like, they meet in person, they're supposed to get married. It's pretty self-explanatory by the name. I want to say it works out to varying degrees of success. I actually don't know. I'm sure there's still people that are married from the show, but a lot of times it is not success. A lot of times it is the opposite of success.
Well, I mean, but going back, Love is Blind. I mean, there have been so many relationships that have formed from that. And these people have water around them. So shouldn't they be getting into relationships that work?
That was our second episode, and we haven't forgotten it. Love is Blind. That's the takeaway. We never forget.
I hope everyone there is okay.
We're on episode 20 right now, and we haven't forgotten.
We won't forget you.
No. So Big Ed disclosed early in the show that he'd been briefly married years ago. He has one daughter, but that he was divorced from his first wife after cheating on her. Now, that was a long time ago in the past. He disclosed that himself, which I think is, to be fair, very brave to go on reality TV and be like, yeah, I cheated on my first wife. I would like another wife, please.
Insert someone saying baka, being like, baka.
Anyway. So yeah, they were brief. I don't think they were married for more than a few years. He has one daughter from that marriage who is older than a lot of his romantic partners, but we'll get into that later. Anyway, the squeak Gabe was just like, ugh. I could hear that yeah. All of his romantic partners are of age, to be clear. They're in their 20s, but they're younger than his daughter. So, like, I'm not gonna judge, but that's just a fact, and it makes his daughter uncomfortable. Do with that what you will. He arrives to the set. Wait, sorry, I can't read my own notes. Nonetheless, he arrives to the reality sphere as a bleeding heart looking for love. He just wanted a wife, in the words of Borat.
Oh, God.
A wife. All right, so sorry to do this to you, Big Ed. I have this organized bi relationship.
Oh.
Yeah.
How many relationships was he in?
Not so many, but there's been more than one, so I organized it by relationship. There's one that's the big one that's like a secondary one, and then a couple of like brief ones in there. We'll get into it, but let's start with his first fiance, Rose. Ed, one day, take you back to before he was on reality TV. One day, he's scrolling through Instagram, as you do, and he sees a pretty woman, as you do, and he's instantly in love, as you do.
Uh-huh.
So he reaches out, he slides into the DMs, finds out that her name is Rosemary Vega. She is single. She's a mother. She has one son, and she's from the Philippines. She's 23 years old, making her younger than his 54 years at the time. That's just the numbers. Also younger than his daughter, Tiffany, at the time. This does not deter him. None of this. None of her being from the other side of the world, being in a different generation. He doesn't care. He's like, when you know, you know. And you know what? Good for him. So he he begins dating her long distance. He claims in his first episode of 90 Day Fiance to have spent over $5,000 buying and sending Rose gifts to the point where there's a scene where he goes to the post office and they have the whole routine down. They're like, send them to the same place again? He's like, yup, as always. He says that he like sent her dad a grill, and 16 Leo brings this up repeatedly in his videos. He's like, how do you send somebody a grill? Just like, you ship it? Like, I have questions.
Wouldn't it be cheaper to just buy a grill long distance and ship it to her house, or not from like the United States?
Maybe that's what he did. I don't know. He says he shipped a grill. But anyway, and by the way, go watch 16 Leo's videos, because you're not going to believe it, but I had to leave some smaller details out. These are just the big points of contention. He does all of this within 3 months of knowing her. And there are some things he hasn't told her in those 3 months. For one thing, his height. He hasn't told her that he's 4'11". I'm 4'11". You're gonna get no complaints about me about that. Although whenever anybody brings up Ed's height in relation to some of his antics, I feel like the caterpillar in Alice in Wonderland, where she's like, It's dreadful height being 3 inches tall. And he's like, young lady, I am 3 inches tall. That's how I feel when people are like, he's 4'11". I'm like, hey.
That is a fact. That shouldn't be a point of contention.
We're not bringing height into this.
Don't be rude. Talk about his personality. Then
Yeah. It's really the personality that gets people.
Yeah, and I would just like to point out, you can date as many people as you want,
Mm-hmm.
just don't cheat on them.
Mm-hmm.
And since he's not really that great of a person, so I'm just like, those poor individuals.
If you don't know where I'm going, you'll probably think that you're like, Avery, you're not usually this mean. I'm not trying to be mean. We'll get into it. I've been down the rabbit hole and back, and my brain is a little bit fried. Oh, the other thing that he's hiding from her is that he is planning actively to get a vasectomy because he's 54 and he doesn't want any more kids. Fair, but he knows that she very much wants more kids. She's only 23. She very much wants to have more than just she has one son. He knows this, and he's actively not telling her that he's planning a vasectomy. He's also planning to marry her.
Where's the ding, 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 red flag number 1?
That's a red flag on the field, boys and girls. Here we go. We'll count the red flags.
I'll just wave this every time I see one.
Yeah, that's our red flag. It has the Wicked Witch feet on it. Just like the Wicked Witch, you've got some problems to deal with. Oh, I forgot about this already. He conditions his hair with mayonnaise. When we first meet Ed, he's got very long hair that he dyes black, and he conditions it with mayonnaise when he dyes it. He gets a whole he has a little rolly thing that looks like it's from Home Depot. He conditions his hair with mayonnaise. Yeah.
Why? Just where? I don't know which to. Baka, execute. But I feel like, wouldn't it go bad and your hair starts to swell because there's eggs in there?
I mean, I assume he rinses it out, but he does just where you would put conditioner on your hair and then leave it in the shower and then wash it out. He does that, but with mayonnaise. I don't pretend to know. I don't know where you get that idea, but he did. This was one of his things that he was known for when he first entered the reality TV show Sphere. It was hey, you see the mayonnaise guy on TV last night?
I don't know. I'm going to call this a red flag.
Red flag on the field. So he flies to the Philippines, planning to propose formally and bring her back to America with him, Rose. Her name is Rosemary. She goes by Rose. That's what I'm going to call her for the rest of this. Right off the bat, he's super jealous and he's barely touched down in the Philippines where he's no more guy friends. We got a red flag on the field. We got a red flag on the field.
We have another baka on the field.
Can you believe that we are just getting started?
Yes, we are on like the first 2-3 sentences and we're already 3 red flags down.
Yep. So he also, upon getting there, he makes a few faux pas. One is telling her not to have any guy friends. Another one is I can't believe he asks her to get an STD test absurdly quickly upon arrival. And what I love is that Rose takes no shit. She is so sweet. She seems like the living embodiment of the phrase do no harm but take no shit. She's like, I will if you will. And everybody's like, oh.
I mean, I'm sure screenings are important.
Screenings are important, but immediately he's like, here's an STD test. He hands her the test. Like the first night. No, he brought one. Yeah, no, it's...
Like, hello, how are you? Please take this.
I mean, I think it was that first night in the hotel room.
Oh my God. Like, I can understand, like, screenings are important and stuff. You don't know what someone's been doing behind the scenes, but to, like, on camera, basically, like, say that to her.
Yeah, and he also, like, he didn't want to take it. He wanted her to take it. Like, when she calls him and she's like, I will if you will. And he's like, well, I don't need to take one. Red flag!
Red flag. What if he's like, I've been a virgin for 54 years?
He also, like, as jealous as he is, he doesn't tell her about cheating on his first wife. But he storms out of a restaurant when she won't go into detail about her ex-boyfriend. He wants to know, like, everything about every past relationship she's ever had. But he's not telling her all this other stuff. So it's just like, yeah, there's gonna be a lot of red flags on the field. They make up the next day, but she lets him know exactly how she feels, which good for her. I like Rose. The next day, he brags to the camera about having relations with Rose that night. Classy. Very classy. Then we tell her... Then we see him tell her that she needs to shave her legs. He hands her a razor. This is, again, relationship 1. I hope I'm not spoiling anything for you by telling you that this one doesn't work out.
Oh no, how could, after, I have my rose-colored glasses on and the red flags look pink, so I thought it was okay.
Right?
Yeah.
You gotta have some real tinted glasses.
Just, I say this as a man, but men.
So... And all the other men who aren't Big Ed are like, hey.
Sorry for all the men who do not act like Big Ed. Not all men, but
all Big Eds.
All Big Eds. If you couldn't find a Big Ed in your friend group, then it must be you.
So he's also very critical of her living conditions. They don't have a ton of money. He comes from a very wealthy part of San Diego. And of course he's like very like, I don't even know what the right word is. He's just very like dismissive of like the way that their culture and life tends to work. Not even just their culture, just their life. Like they don't have a lot of money, just the way that things work in the Philippines. He seems to be like, ugh. And it's like, you came here. Why are you now being weird and rude about it? I don't like that.
Would that be classism?
It's like classism mixed with a little bit of racism, I think. Yeah, that's how it comes off anyway. Which is unfortunate. Poor Rose. Like, poor Rose.
Where's Leonardo DiCaprio to sweep her off her feet? Because Rose, Titanic.
Oh, yeah, I was about to say, like, DiCaprio only dates 25 years old. At the time, Rose was 23, so maybe she would pass for a little while.
Sorry, that was a Titanic reference.
No, I got it after a second, but I was just like, I was actually doing the math in my head to see if she was young enough for Leonardo DiCaprio.
Oh yeah.
Oh, and then he accuses her of gold digging. She's never asked him for one dime. He is voluntarily like, here's a bunch of money. Now I think you're a gold digger, which is weird.
Oh gosh, it's like, here, look at all these gifts. Remember all those gifts I gave you? You need to give me everything I want. I sent your father a grill from America.
That's leverage now. Those weren't gifts. Yeah.
Execute. Sorry.
Yeah.
Not actually execute, but this is like fun, quirky soundbite because levity.
This poor woman, he buys her a toothbrush and tells her that she has bad breath. She has an ulcer, which he knows about, which would contribute to that. But even if not, like, you don't say that. You don't do that.
Sounds like he just wants control. Hey, look, I bought you gifts, so now do everything I tell you because I think you're kind of gross.
He also buys her lingerie. It wouldn't be gross under other circumstances, maybe, but it's definitely weird the way that he does it.
Yeah, it's just context and circumstances.
Context. But then Rose finds out about the vasectomy and him not telling her on purpose.
Producers were probably like, hey, Rose.
She reads him to filth and dumps him there in the Philippines. Yes, Rose. We love Rose.
We stan an icon. I've never used the word stan before. We love an icon.
She actually used her clout from the show to start a really successful YouTube channel now. I think they have hundreds of thousands. Like, it's a big channel. Good for her. I'm really glad to see her succeed. Ed, during this time, also started a YouTube channel and a cameo where he gives, among other things, bad life advice. He tried to teach katana fighting. He did a lot of mukbangs and fetishized Asian women. It was a whole, as you do on the internet. You know how you're like, I want to start an internet career. What am I going to do on my YouTube channel?
I told a woman to shave her legs. She threw the razor at my face. Women!
Yeah, this is definitely...
Sorry.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
Women be crazy. Probably Ed at some point. Anyway, then there was the 90 Day Fiance reunion episode.
Reunions are fun.
He discloses, and to make this more awkward, because it is 2020, they're on Zoom doing this. So you know how, like, everything on Zoom was awkward every single time? I went to improv classes over Zoom. It's a weird way to do improv classes, but it does prepare you for anything, because sometimes Zoom cuts out, and you're just like, well, my partner is gone. Now what?
I'll have to do this entire scene by myself. I loved improv in college. I remember
I love improv too.
There was this one game that we played called Survivor where it was 4 people and you act out a scene. And then at the end of the scene, someone's eliminated from the scene. And so someone has to fill that role. One of my college friends, her name is Nikki. And she would always win Survivor. I would battle it out there was literally one time where she and I and 2 others were in a scene. We literally start off the scene screaming at each other and the other 2 people are just and I'm just like, I want to. I think there was one time that I won, but Nikki would like wipe the floor with everybody. Shout out to Nikki, you're the best. But
I loved improv. Yeah, super fun. Shout out Dad's Garage, people. That's where I took improv. Where was I?
Zoom reunion.
Right, Zoom reunion. Okay, he discloses that he's willing to cut his own daughter out of his life for Rose, because his daughter had concerns over the relationship. And of course, they then are like, all right, please welcome to the Zoom call your daughter, Tiffany, who's crying because her dad just said on national TV that he would gamble their relationship for a 23-year-old he's known for 3 months.
Who, like, kicked him out of...
Who kicked him out, right.
Oh, I hope his Tiffany is okay.
Yeah,
Tiffany, I hope you're okay.
Well, Tiffany kind of tends to we'll get to it. Tiffany can kind of have a mean streak like her dad sometimes.
Oh.
But I do feel very bad. That aside, that's horrible for your dad to be like, yes, I will cut my only child out of my life for this person that doesn't even want to be with me. So the whole reunion is super cursed. Ed's crying. His daughter's crying. Rose is crying because she's been so humiliated by Ed on the show. It's a whole mess. Then, on a different reunion episode, he tells Rose that he froze a sperm, which is weird because the whole reason they broke up was because he was hiding a vasectomy. One of those secret vasectomies.
Or hide it. Go find the vasectomy. I've hidden it somewhere you'll never find it.
Oh, and also back on the first reunion episode, he just totally outs Rose for being bi on national TV. Not cool.
We do not support biphobia.
We do not support biphobia, and we do not support just outing people when they're not, like, going public with that.
Yeah. And if you're like, oh, but I was concerned because blah, blah. And it's like, no, you just want to out them for ratings. You don't care about them if you're outing some personal information like that. She
started going out with a girl after they broke up. It wasn't even like there was any, like, cheating scandal. He was just mad. It was just weird. Didn't like it. It was gross.
Rude.
All right. So that's Rose. We've gotten through the first relationship.
Oh.
Now we're on to Liz.
Oh.
So due to popularity, because Ed was a meme at this point, Ed got cast on the 90 Day Fiancé spin-off show called The Single Life, which followed a bunch of people on 90 Day Fiancé who didn't marry their fiancé and now are going through just, like, dating life. It's TLC. They're really cashing in on the fact that everybody's in quarantine right now.
The Learning Channel.
The Learning Channel. He meets a waitress at his favorite restaurant. Her name is Liz. She's 28. She also is a single mom. She's been divorced. He asks her out at work, meaning that he goes into the restaurant while she's on the job and calls her over to the table and asks her out on camera, and it is the most awkward thing I've ever seen. She's like, he's like, are you busy Friday night? She's like, yes. And he's like, how about brunch? She's like, okay, brunch. So it's a very reluctant date.
Oh.
Yeah.
Alright, this just reminds me of Bethany Frankel from Real Housewives of New York, who like hates Bravo and is trying to unionize the reality stars. She apparently went into a TJ Maxx or something. I learned about this from Watch What Crappens, but she went into a TJ Maxx or something. And she's like, look at this hardworking cashier over here. I'm giving this to you, and is like filming herself for TikTok. And the employee, this is all alleged because I just heard this secondhand, but apparently the employee was so uncomfortable and is like, I can't accept this.
God.
That goes against store policy. And you could see the fear in this poor cashier's eyes, because she's probably thinking like, if I say anything wrong, I will be fired, because Bethany's gonna post this and everyone's gonna see it. So it's just like, oh, don't put people on the spot on camera, people.
It's like when you're an extra and one of the main actors comes over and just wants to have a conversation because, you know, you're a person standing near them. And then their people are like, were you bothering them? And you're like, no, God, no. Oh, please don't fire me.
They talk to me first, I swear.
If you're an actor out there who wonders why the BG are weird around you, it's probably because one of the PAs has threatened them. It's not you. I've met some actors like not on set, and that has come up, and they were like, oh.
Luckily, no actor ever approaches and talks to me, except for one when I was on the show I was core on, or he was just kind of chatting with me and another extra, and he was on another show that I watch, and I'm like, oh my gosh, but he talked to me first, and I talked. So it was fine. And also we were in an elevator, so no crew members could see that we were talking.
I also feel so bad when it's just like, imagine you go into work and you walk into a room and all your coworkers are talking and then they just stop when you walk into the room. You'd be like, well, okay, I'm going to go back to bed, but thank you.
Gotta go back to my trailer. Oh, why does no one like me? That's when I just do well, that's just me every day of my life.
Oh.
When I was young, I would walk into the kitchen. My parents would be having a lively conversation. They would just stop and stare at me.
Tell Gabe you like him in the comments.
Or it's like, well, it's because I was wearing like my soccer clothes and I had just come in from like being dirty and I was tracking in dirt. That was why. But darn it, my improv skills have failed me. It's like, oh, it's because it's because I'm carrying a velociraptor, and that's why.
Yeah,
Spencer's
who was also wearing soccer gear.
Yeah,
the velociraptor was also playing soccer.
Yeah, accidentally cut up a few balls. People were kind of being judgmental.
Yeah. Anyway, back to Big Ed.
I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
Big Ed, walking red flag.
So after just a couple of dates, he takes her to meet his mom. By the way, I love his mom.
Aw.
I love his mom so much. She's adorable. I believe her name is Norma. And she's this, like, really cute Italian lady who's just, like, super honest. And there's this iconic scene where she's, like, she's helping him get ready for a date. And she's, like, because at this point, she's living with him. Or he's living with her. I don't know. They're living under the same roof at this point. And so she's, like, helping him get ready. And she's like, what's her name? And he's like, Elizabeth. Well, she goes by Liz. And she goes, oh, like your sister, Liz. And he goes, yeah, because I guess he has a sister named Liz. Oh. And she goes, does she look like your sister? And he's like, no, Mom. It's just so, like, honest. Like, she says it with no irony. She's just like, does she look like your sister?
All of his antics, it just... Does she look like your sister?
No. Please, no. Oh, thank God. Oh, God.
You're a walking red flag, but as long as...
As long as that's not a red flag, please. Anyway, Liz tells him that she's not sure she's into him. She kind of just thinks that she gives him the, like, we should be friends talk in the nicest way possible. And then as she's leaving, he goes to kiss her. She physically ducks. And it's so funny because Ed's my height. Again, I'm not making fun of him for his height. Height's normal. But she ducks, and so all he could really, or she, like, moves out of the way, all he could reach is her nose. And so he kisses her nose, and it's so, she, like, is like, whoa, you can't do that. And he's like, why not? And he, like, thinks it's a joke, and she's like, oh, please don't do that.
Consent.
It's important, people.
Oh, sorry, Spencer. Execute. And sorry. Yes, consent is key, and oh gosh.
So yeah, that's awkward to say the least. It's painful to watch, honestly. Then he goes back to the restaurant where she works and sees that she's talking to another guy and gets all sad about it. And it's like, bro, you're not together. You're not together.
And that's kind of just going back to the place of someone's work and being like, oh no, she's, and that could have just been a customer where she's just like, oh, you would like eggs on the side.
16 Leo points out there's a part where he's just like, it's just so hard because, like, we live in the same neighborhood. So, like, what if I run into her at the grocery store? And Leo's like, bro, you know where she is. She's at the restaurant. Just don't go to that restaurant anymore. You know where she is.
Yeah. Oh, woe is me. She works at the restaurant that I didn't really frequent until they started filming me. What if I see her? You be cordial and don't be weird and don't just go to the restaurant because you know you'll see her.
Arguably, it's more awkward for her because she has to work there.
Oh, gosh. And she can't, like, run away because I'm sure she'd tell her boss might be, well, not all bosses, but I'm sure the boss might be like, well, as long as he's not doing anything illegal, there's nothing we can do about it. He's a paying customer.
Oh,
I'm not saying her boss would say that, but that's what I assume would happen.
That's what some bosses would say, so you never know.
Yeah,
since we don't know her boss. It's awkward when somebody continues frequenting your place of work, and it's somebody that you dated, and they have the ability to leave, but you don't.
Exactly. Oh, and I bet he's a terrible tipper.
We don't, to be fair, Big Ed, because with most people we talk about, I'm like, they're never going to see this. Big Ed might. I feel like Big Ed's the kind of guy that's just like scouring the internet for people to talk about him.
He has a Google alert on for looking for his name. Well, Big Ed, I would like to see otherwise that you are a bad tipper. I apologize if you are a good tipper.
He's backspacing the comment about what a great tipper he is right now.
But I apologize if you are a good tipper, but after learning, or in these last 10 minutes of learning about you, I assume you might not be that great of a big tipper.
Would you believe that we are still just getting started?
Sorry, I keep talking.
No, it's not you. It's me. I took like 4 pages of notes because I forgot how much Big Ed there was in the Big Ed saga. It's... He accuses her of sleeping with her ex-husband. Again, they are not together in an exclusive relationship. They've been on like 2 dates and she told him that she wants to be friends. So it's her business if she can, which apparently she wasn't even, but who cares? Because that's her business and nobody else's. So then he somehow, and I still am not sure how this happened, but he somehow gets her to agree to go to a wedding with him out of town. Yeah. So somehow that happens. So he books a room with 2 beds. But just like as if this was a fanfic, the hotel calls right before and they only have rooms with 1 bed. I don't know if Big Ed did that or if the production did that, but someone did that. There's no way that someone didn't do that. They like have him like call him perfectly on time and they're like, we're so sorry. We only have rooms with 1 bed. Sorry, I almost choked on my own spit because I'm getting so emotional. Oh God, this makes me the cringe just almost killed me. He agrees to the 1 bed without telling her.
Yeah. I get so emotional, baby. Every time. So, oh gosh, someone's going up to Liz and they go, Big Ed. Anyway, sorry.
Next day, he brags to the camera that they had relations. Classy. I'm gonna keep saying it. It's super classy, Ed. He then creeps out his daughter, so he goes to introduce her to his daughter. I think this is after the wedding. It's either after the wedding or while they're still on the trip, but at some point around that time, he introduces her immediately to his daughter because he moves very fast in relationships. And he creeps both Liz and his daughter out by repeatedly saying that they remind him of each other. Right? That is the correct reaction. Congratulations on having the correct reaction. I feel like I'm putting Gabe through a resilience test. I feel like I'm putting all of you through a resilience test, and I'm sorry, but
That's
I just
cute.
Again, the Big Ed brain rot is just so deep. I need to get this off of my chest.
I'm sure Big Ed is watching this, going, "Yes, I did say that," or he's probably like, "No, that's not how I meant it."
He probably says that's not how I meant it. I think he just meant, like, he just wanted them to get along so badly that he was just like, you guys have lots in common. But he kept saying that they looked kind of alike, too.
Oh.
It's a big, like, Donald Trump vibe, and I don't like it.
I was just thinking about that, but I didn't want to say it.
I'll say it.
Okay,
it was bad. I did not like it.
The sacrifices you have made for this.
Someone would say it in the comments if one of us didn't say it, so, you know.
Maybe he saw how his mom was more popular than him with the scene of the "Does Liz look like your sister?" and is like, I'm gonna try to recreate that, but without my nice mom.
4 days later in the timeline, Big Ed and Liz. Oh, sorry. My notes say that 4 days after they officially become official on the wedding trip, that's when she meets his daughter. 4 days after that. Just to let you know the timeline. I did put a note in just for past me knew that future me would be confused. So thanks, past me. So then, apparently, so that's how the one episode ends. It's like, she's met his daughter, it's kind of awkward, but like, whatever, new relationship, woo. By the next episode, they're all but broken up. They're not speaking.
Oh, no.
The reason they're not speaking is because, so this is confusing to me. So, Big Ed and Liz were out clubbing, and I guess his daughter Tiffany was there too. You know how you go clubbing with your parents, and I guess Tiffany's friend was also there. I don't know what the situation was, but I guess Tiffany and the friend were like shit-talking Liz, and Ed didn't do anything, but then Liz didn't want to talk about it, so it was this big miscommunication, and it was just basically this fight over what probably could have been avoided. Not that her feelings aren't valid, because that would suck. But, like, that happened. They've only been together for, like, a week, I think. When they see each other the next day, he guilt trips Liz into saying that when she left him, he had a panic attack. Which, like, you know, maybe he did have a panic attack, but starting the reconciliation talk as somebody who has panic attacks with like, well, I had a panic attack when you left me. That's now going to make her feel like his mental health is her responsibility.
Oh,
to me, it just seems very shady, and I didn't like it. Oh yeah. So she cries when he tells her that because she feels so guilty about giving him a panic attack. And he tells the producers in the talking head that made him happy because that means she cares about him. I'm going to wave it this time. I'm
angry nun.
Nunzilla is coming for you, Big Ed.
Oh my god.
I know, isn't that gross?
That's so gross.
She takes him back though. So that's that. So they're back together. You're not going to believe this. He tells her that he believes it's fate that they're together because Liz was born the same week his divorce was finalized. Sit with that one for a second.
So like his divorce, like the actual week his divorce was finalized, she was born.
Yeah. His first. Yes. Yep.
Because it could have been interpreted like oh, there's like a week in September and she was born in that same week in September, but no,
it's
like
not
the
her
actual
birth week, like the week, like days either before or after his divorce was finalized, she was born. Now, she's like, when they start their relationship, she's like 28, so like she's well within like the bracket of like she's old enough to date an older guy if she wants to. Not saying that's whatever, but it's weird that he said it to her in that specific way.
Yeah, just you are you're great because you remind me of my
It's just a weird thing for him to say. It's just weird. It's not, you know, the age gap is fine if they're fine with it, but it's just like, it's just weird that he's just like, it's fate because you were born right when my divorce was finalized.
I'm just imagining Tiffany just being like, oh dear God.
He thought that was, you know, he thought it was so romantic in his head. And then he said it and the producers were like, yes.
or his daughter's just like, oh my God, she was born the same week as their divorce and she's younger than me.
So they get back together and 3 weeks later, he asks her and her daughter to move in with him.
3 weeks?
3 weeks later. Remember, she has a kid, too. So, like, there's an added element of, like, the kid.
And I think that individuals need to be moved in together as the step before marriage because you need to be able to, like... Yeah. Because I remember on the show Family Karma, there was a point where one of the individuals is just like, oh, I want him to propose to me before we move in together, and I was just like, no, don't do it.
Don't
move in together first. But 3 weeks?
3 weeks.
I've never been in a relationship, and I know that's too fast.
Yeah.
Exit cute. I'm doing this arm motion because when Zoe does it, she does this arm thing because she has to be the most dramatic of the one because she's the girl of the group. And I don't really relate to Zoe. I just relate to Tommy. But this one moment when she says execute.
It's a good moment.
Yeah, I needed to explain myself because I don't want people to get the wrong idea. Anyway, 3 weeks.
3 weeks later, he asks her to move in with him. She says yes. So he asks her, they do like that reality thing where like, you can't just ask somebody to move in with you. You have to ask somebody on a beach at sunset, you know? Because, you know, we got to get that golden hour shot. The poor producers are like scrambling. Like, you got to ask her right now. The golden hour, it's fading.
They're
Please.
like, we need our trailer moment. We need the trailer moment.
We need it. We need the bumper for next week. Okay, so she says yes on the beach. And in his talking head, on the beach, he tells producers that he has the ring picked out. Even the producers are shocked. You hear the producer be like, you have the ring picked out? Like, even the producer, who has worked in reality television for God knows how long, is like, Nani?
Nani?
When you shock a reality TV producer, that's interesting.
I'm sure they're like, oh, we need to keep him around for a while. He shocked the producer. He shocked producer. Oh gosh. Keep him around.
So by the Single Life Tell-All episode, they've already broken up again. This next segment is just called The Girls at the Tell-All, because he is crying about how much he misses Liz, but he is actively behind the scenes in the green room hitting on one of the other contestants and her roommate.
I wonder when he was crying, was he just like... He's
like, I just miss Liz so much. I just want her back. He broke up with her, by the way. And he's like, I just want her back so much. That girl is cute. Like, look at that. That is a 10 out of 10. Like, it's weird.
Is that the scene where we get the meme of the...
I don't remember exactly when that is, because he kind of does that a lot, because he tends to put his foot in his mouth a lot on camera, and then people are like, hey, Big Ed, what did you just say?
I just don't understand, or I wonder what is put on for camera, because just being like, I broke up with her, but I miss her so much. Hey there, Nancy Drew, how are you doing?
So this is interesting, because we always talk about, like, you can never really judge somebody in real life based on their reality show persona because of the edit and all that stuff. So, you know, everything we say about Big Ed is just, you know, his persona and assuming that all of that is, you know, him. But it's interesting because 16 Leo pointed out that in between him being on 90 Day Fiance and being put on the Single Life, he was kind of like trying to remain relevant by staying on YouTube, and he kind of was the same exact person. So, like, you can't claim bad edit when you're the one in control of the edit. So it's either him or it's the way that he wants to be portrayed for whatever reason.
I don't know how some individuals are able to, like, keep that persona. I'm just like, isn't that exhausting to have to be like not you for so long?
It has to be. And it has to also be just like, you know, sometimes we get these YouTubers that just like pull some crazy stunt and then they're just like fine with it because everybody's talking about them. And I'm like, how do you just like do that and be like, okay, and then go to bed at night? Do some people not have anxiety disorder?
What does that feel like to go to like to or like you say something and not be like, what did I just say in this conversation? They probably think about this. And I have not been diagnosed with anxiety disorder, but I've had moments where I've said something and I've just been sitting there and I'm just like, what did I say? But
like reanalyzing what you said and being like, did this come out wrong? Did this sound weird the way that I said it? Happens to me all of the time. And I'm just like, you're telling me there's people who can purposely like make people mad and then just be like, okay, and go to bed?
or they get you mad and then they're like, wow, you're really mad. You need to apologize to me because my feelings are hurt in this scenario. And it's like, but you didn't, but what? But you were the one who did this. Wow. You're being very angry right now. I'm seeing a new side of you right now. I just can't believe this is the type of person you've been because, you know, I've been very honest about myself. I've said before in a talking head that I can be kind of a jerk, but you screaming at me in this way when I've done nothing but send you grills and be supportive of you, it just really hurts me. And like the level of manipulation, because I fall for it on reality TV, and if it wasn't for Watch Where It Comes, I'd be like, wait a second.
Oh yeah, no. If anybody who's had experience with like being gaslit, it's just like having a flashback, and then you have those moments with reality TV where you're like, oh, maybe he is sorry, and then you're like, wait, no, no.
Yeah, it's because they're gorgeous. People forgive gorgeous people very easily.
So that's not all that happened at that particular single life tell-all. I swear, sometimes the tell-alls are better than the whole season of TV. I don't know why reality TV is structured like that, but that's the tell-alls are where it's at. So neither Ed nor Liz remembers when or why they even broke up, because apparently they fight over everything all the time. And then Ed breaks up with Liz via text message.
Ooh.
He sends mean messages to her 2 days later about all of the women that he's going to date after he broke up with her over text message. Apparently, when they were planning, they never even got to move in together, really. Or I think they might have briefly lived together, but like everything fell apart right immediately. Apparently, he wouldn't let her put up pictures of her and her daughter that she liked, but he has a shower curtain with his face on it. Ew.
I mean,
imagine just going into somebody's bathroom and they just have a full body picture of themselves on the shower curtain.
I mean, it's great to have people with confidence, but to do that and be like, but you can't put up pictures of yourself and your daughter that you like. It's like, there's a word I'm thinking of that people kind of overuse a lot that I can't really think of like a synonym for at the moment.
Yeah. It's just a little strange. And it's just piling on to more of this like track record of like Ed always having to be in control. So they end the tell-all by agreeing to go to therapy. Couples therapy to see if they can work things out. Oh, that's good. That's healthy, right? He ends the tell-all by telling cameras that he's going to try to sleep with her that night. Okay. Then a leaked phone call while the show is on hiatus comes out where Big Ed is verbally, trigger warning, verbally abusing Liz because she gave a male coworker a ride home. And he thinks that's disrespectful to him. She called and asked him for permission, as if that's not already unhealthy, that she would have to, like, call and ask for permission to, like, drive a coworker home. He said yes, and then was mad at her about it. And he's, like, cussing her out on this phone call. It's hard to listen to.
Oh my gosh. It's like that one situation in Florida where the teacher wanted to show a movie and got permission for everybody, but then in the end there was a parent that got mad that she showed this movie.
The Strange World one, not the Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey one.
Oh, yeah. I'm just like, okay, what can I say? What can I not say because of the strike? Even though I mentioned a movie earlier.
Oh no, sorry. That's not again, Disney pay your writers. We're not. That's not an advertisement. There just happened this one where this teacher showed Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey to the class.
Oh, I didn't hear about that one.
And that one, people were like legitimately mad because the kids were like having nightmares, because of course they were. So just to be clear, that's not the one you were talking about.
Sorry, I didn't realize that someone showed Winnie. I feel like after like the first
she absolutely knew what she was doing. I have a video. Shameless plug. Go watch my video. I suffered for that video.
But now that it's gonna become a viral moment, that means you're gonna have to watch Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey 2, featuring Owl, Tigger, and Rabbit.
Yeah, I am. Yeah. I'm also gonna have to watch their Grinch horror movie.
And the Bambi horror movie and the Peter Pan horror movie.
Yeah. I've done this to myself, really. But anyway, that phone call took place after they got back together again. So they break up again. So now, it's about to be season 2 of The Single Life. the day before season 2 of The Single Life airs, they have an episode of 90 Day Bears All, which is just another, it's basically a serialized tell-all where past contestants, I guess, go on and talk about stuff. Big Ed talks about dating again after Liz. He also talks about having a tattoo of his own face on his own leg.
Again, you know, confidence is great, but your own face on your own leg. Is it just like, yes, I know who I am, leg me. Hey, you're so cool. Anyway.
I mean, it's
cute.
You can do whatever you want with your body. I find that very interesting. Anyway.
Should I wave the red flag on that one?
Sure.
Okay, I'll wave the red flag on that one. Again, it's nice to have confidence, but...
He goes on to say that at this point, he and Liz have broken up 8 times. Every single time he dumped her over text. Yeah. That ship just keeps sinking more and more.
That ship is held together by duct tape and a wood plank.
On the first episode of The Single Life Season 2, Ed is back because he's apparently their cash cow now. He goes out on a date with a nice lady. She seems very nice. Her name is Mia. We don't get to learn that much about her because on the first date, he keeps accidentally calling her Liz, which oof. And then he tells her all the horrid details of their entire relationship and the breaking up over text. And then he starts crying on their first date over Liz. And she's like, you know what? I'm good. You know? Have fun with that.
All I have to say is therapy and aftercare.
Yep.
Therapy.
Yep.
Therapy.
Yep. So that date went well. We never see Mia again.
Oh, poor Mia.
I know.
I hope the check cleared.
I know. I hope it did too. Then Ed dates a super sweet seeming lady named Kaori. I hope I'm saying her name right. Kaori is 44. Living in Mexico. She seems so sweet. She just seems so nice. They spoke online via video chat. Ed's super cringy with his Spanish. He's very bad at it. And it's just, it's very awkward. And, he's very Ed about speaking Spanish. He flies to Mexico on one of the episodes of The Single Life Season 2, immediately starts talking marriage with her. And she's like, you know what? I'm good.
Oh my gosh.
Also, side note, there was this moment where, like, a shooting happened in the general vicinity of the restaurant that they were filming at, and TLC milked this for all it was worth. Like, Ed got shot at. Ed didn't get shot at. I just wanted to throw that in there. It's weird. They did that reality TV thing of like, will he make it out alive? And then it's just like, when you see it, it's just like a shooting happened down the street from the one restaurant where we were filming, which is scary. But he didn't get shot at. He said in multiple interviews before that he got shot at.
Oh.
Anyway, this next part I've titled Liz Again.
Oh. Shit. And now you're back. From outer space. Anyway, yeah.
So, this whole time The Single Life was airing, there was massive confusion online because while they're airing this stuff about Ed moving on from Liz and, like, he's finally going to move on and all this stuff, like, you know, moving on from a bad relationship, they're posting on Instagram that they're engaged. So everybody's very confused because in all of his interviews, he's just like, yeah, I'm moving on from Liz. Meanwhile, they're engaged on Instagram. And people are like, who do I listen to? Is it Ed or Ed yesterday? Ed from a week ago or Ed today?
Like, or his leg tattoo Ed or his shower curtain Ed.
Yeah, right. Everything is a promotion for Ed. So anyway, nobody knows what to believe. I just put in my notes, they're engaged. Yay? When you've gone through 8 prior breakups with somebody, I don't know about yay. There was also an article around this time that 16 Leo also found that showed someone caught a picture of Ed putting his hand down Liz's pants at a rodeo. That doesn't play into anything else. I just thought you should know about it.
Well, that just reminds me of a situation that happened with a certain Congress person.
Yeah, I think I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
If you know, you know.
If you know, you know.
Hypocrisy. Anyway.
So around this time, after Single Life Season 2 airs, Ed and Liz are immediately recruited to be on the 7th season of 90 Day Fiance Happily Ever After. There's a question mark at the end. I guess that's how you're supposed to pronounce it. Happily Ever After? Are they going to be happy? Are they going to be miserable? This person's life is your entertainment. We are TLC. Anyway, they drop an unaired tell-all. So there's the tell-all, but then there's an unaired tell-all.
Ooh.
The unaired tell-all just quietly gets dropped, and the only reason I know about it is because 16 Leo happened to just be looking at feeds. So thank you again, Leo. Leo just was like, there was no promotion. They didn't say shit about this online. They were just like, bloop.
Here you go.
So in this unaired tell-all, Liz is mad at the host of the tell-all for wanting to play clips of the single life where Ed is dating other girls because she's so insecure about their relationship that she runs backstage and she starts crying.
I could have sworn that light was flickering.
It was flickering. It's either Ed's Jedi powers through the screen and through time and space, or it's the ghost. It's the tech ghost.
Oh, hello, tech ghost.
Either way, you're fine. Just sit over there, tech ghost.
I'm just in like a blinking light. I'm just me slowly losing my sanity.
God.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah, so that happens. She goes backstage because she doesn't want to see like clips from the show where he's dating other girls, which is odd because, like, he was on a whole show and did a promotional tour about it. Like, she knew. Like, if you date somebody and they've dated other people, like, you tend to know.
Yeah, people can date other people if they're not exclusive to you.
Yeah, anyway. She comes back in time to watch Kaori get called in via Zoom from Mexico. And I love Kaori. Because upon she has a translator. Ed didn't even bother to learn her language before he was like, you want to get married? Anyway, Kaori's got a translator, and the host, Sean, of all like the 90-day tell-all stuff, she's like, so were you physically attracted to Ed? And she looks at the translator who translates that, and immediately she goes, oh no. Just like not mean-spirited, it just matter. Oh no. And so Ed is just like in the corner dying. But it was hilarious. Like, poor Ed, but also he's like made fun of all these women's physical appearances, and she just very calmly is just like, no, I didn't really think he was attractive. And he was just very, like, she said it so honestly, too. Anyway, their season starts of 90 Day Fiancé Happily Ever After. Liz discloses that Ed used to bring other girls to the restaurant where she worked while they were not together. I think that this was before he asked her out. So, like, the play for, like, oh, I like this waitress, I'm gonna get this waitress. His play was, like, to bring other girls? So she was very confused, I guess, when he asked her out. I don't know why that was the play, but anyway. Ed discloses that his daughter and his mom aren't speaking to him because of how chaotic and toxic this whole thing with, like, getting together and breaking up and getting together and breaking up is. And so they've cut him out. Sorry, I hit the microphone. I'm sorry, Spencer. His best friend's also not happy with the engagement at all. They barely speak. Liz goes to work with Ed on a photo shoot because if you didn't know, Ed is a photographer. It literally is not important until right this minute in the show. But he's a photographer. She goes to work with him because she's like, I want to learn about, like, what you do and be more involved in your life and blah, 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 blah. So they do some headshots for one of her friends, which I was just happy for this girl because I was like, free headshots. Headshots are expensive. The show better have surely given her free headshots. So she got some free headshots out of this. However, she had to endure a very awkward moment to get the free headshots. So were they really free? So Ed's taking pictures of the friend, and he's like telling her, like, he's belittling Liz, first of all, like telling her that she doesn't know anything about anything in front of her friend, which is already embarrassing. But then he's also like going out of his way to like tell the friend how like gorgeous she is and all this stuff, and it's like, sure, like, yeah, I guess photographers like hype up their clients, but like he says it a lot for his fiance being right there, and it's her friend, so it's like it's a whole thing. So she snaps at him, she leaves, they end up fighting in front of the friend. The friend's just like sitting there like the meme of Loki from the first story. It's just like that one, that gif. Yeah, that's the friend, and the friend is just like, I'm very uncomfortable. Liz says the classic line. I'm so stupid. Liz says the classic, now infamous line, you're acting like my dad, and no one wants to screw their dad at night.
That's not where I thought this was going. I'm just gonna,
My soul left my body.
Ginger. Anyway.
So yeah, that was awkward.
And let me guess, they still didn't break off their engagement.
So he goes back and they like make up and everything, but then they have an engagement party.
Oh.
You're not gonna believe I don't know what you're expecting, but it's not this.
Oh gosh. My first thought is her dad shows up.
Nope.
Oh.
Nope. So let me make sure that I'm right at the beginning of my notes. So Liz invites a girl that she used to work with to the party. As you do at an engagement party, you're like, hey, acquaintances, come celebrate me being engaged. Ed, because he's so insanely jealous, is convinced that Liz is a secret lesbian and is cheating on him. Liz... I'm not giving Ed credit for this because it's the bare minimum. He's like, there's nothing wrong with being a lesbian, but he keeps asking her if she's a lesbian. And she's like, I've literally never expressed an interest in other women romantically. Where does that even come from? Her friend hugged her at the party and he got really jealous. And even though the friend was of a gender that she says she is not attracted to, he was just like, secret lesbian.
Look at these two friends. They seemed really close when they hugged. Lesbians.
Yeah, he acted like the Disney executive on like some like cartoon where they're just like, Alex Hirsch talking about like the snarky emails he's had back and forth between Disney executives, and that one of the criticisms is like, these two male characters hug for too long. You have to change it. And he just replies back, no, they're ... buddies. And then they're like, the action is deemed appropriate in this context. Anyway, Big Ed pulls one of those, and it's just like, you're a lesbian. Liz gets so mad, she tries to walk home drunk and alone. The producers are literally slowly driving behind her as she walks, being like, Ed, please, or Liz, please let me give you a ride home. Like, the producers are like, please don't get murdered. Like, it's late at night. She's very inebriated. They're like, please let us drive you. She gets in the car and she discloses to producers that the $13,000 engagement ring that Ed got her, she threw in a bush. I know.
But I honestly want to be like, good for her. That scene from that TV show, that's like, good for her.
I understand the emotion.
But
it's really not a smart thing to do.
No, you sell that and take that money and leave him.
So anyway, she gets home. They drop her off at the place where she's now living with Ed. And they get into a huge fight where we learn that they both body shame each other, apparently. He tells her that she drinks too much, and she tells him that he's a bad kisser and has a small penis. In front of cameras, which is just like, damn.
Ooh.
Ouch. Ooh. Yeah. It's just like the oof in slow motion sound effect that everybody uses. I'm just hearing that in my head.
Insert the Inosuke laugh and Tanjiro going, stop it.
She storms out crying and goes back to find the ring to give back to him because they're like, we're done for real this time, for realsies. She actually finds the ring somehow, which I have no idea how that happened. I'm convinced that like they had some poor PA like rifling through the bushes.
No, an intern. They were like, "Oh, you want to work on reality TV? Look, it's like 3 a.m. Look in these bushes. No, you can't have a flashlight. Why would we give you a flash? What do we not pay you for? You will light your own fire and make your own torch to find this ring."
I'm pretty sure it also was like in front of somebody's house. So can you just imagine the people like looking out the window being like, they're like, "Oh no, so we work for a reality show. She threw, oh, okay, fine, that's fine."
I just went, knock. Hey, I'm really sorry about this, but we're a part of a reality show and we have to look for a ring. Oh,
here's
okay.
some money for your inconvenience.
I didn't think they were even going to give any
They
money.
might not have. I don't know how TLC works. I know that like movies have been filmed like sometimes, and big budget movies will sometimes give you at least some money to like show your house, or at least they should, but reality TV might try to get away with it because it's reality TV. But anyway.
So in the future, if someone from a reality show is looking for a ring in your yard and they say, "Hey, just so you know," make sure they pay you, or try to get them to pay you, or just be like, "Get off my property."
I mean, they're showing your house on TV, so like,
and then
that is a huge inconvenience. But anyway, sorry, what were you gonna say?
Or I was gonna say, and then that's when you find the ring and you're like, "I'm not giving this back until you give me some money. It was on my line."
How much is this ring? $13,000? I'm gonna need $15,000 for this ring back.
Yep, you know, because taxes.
Yeah.
I know how taxes work.
I opened up my coffee and I got coffee all over me, but you know, we're just gonna keep going. Sorry if I smell like coffee now, Gabe.
Oh, that's fine.
So she somehow finds the ring. Unnamed PA, if you were the one that found the ring, we see you.
We see you, PAs.
An unnamed PA finds the ring. She gives him his ring back, and they break up for a 9th time. At least it happened in person this time.
Oh, finally.
It wasn't over text message. It's so sad because at one point she literally says, like, every time he goes to see so-and-so, he breaks up with me. And I'm like, every time? Like, she talks about being nervous when she gets, like, I'm pretty sure she said, like, getting a text message, like, she worries that it's going to be the one where he breaks up with her again. Which is just, like, super healthy. Anyway. Oh, gosh. Okay. So I saw the word couples therapy again, and I thought I'd gone back in my notes, but actually I didn't. Sorry, Spencer, I lost my place. There's so many things that happened on this godforsaken universe of TV shows. Okay, before long, however, they get back together.
Oh, geez, Louise.
They go to couples therapy. Ed suggests that they have, hey, honey, remember how when we had our first engagement party, I called you a secret lesbian? Secret lesbian would be a great name for a band. He's like, we should do a redo of our engagement party. But this time, it should be in Arkansas, where my family's from, where you know nobody and I know everybody.
Controlling. I can't remember the term, but isn't that what gaslighters do to manipulate, where they separate the person from all their friends and surround them with people they know to control?
Well, it is one sign of abusive relationships. Generally, if you've got, an abusive person will want to separate people from their support systems because it's easier to control somebody and manipulate them that way. If somebody's doing that to you, find help. You can do better. Please.
And learn about love bombing. I learned about that on The Real Housewives of New Jersey, and that's a problem too.
Yep. So she says, hey, I'm fine with having this redo party at all of your family, but just don't leave me alone, because, like, I don't know anybody there. It's really awkward when you're, like, at a place you literally don't know anybody. So he promises that he will not leave her alone. And then they get in the door, and the first thing he does is he leaves her alone.
I knew it.
I knew it, too. I saw it coming. When he said, I'm not going to leave you alone, I'm like, he's going to leave her alone. He's going to do it. Ed has not passed my vibe check. It gets so much worse.
Oh.
So after They get back to San Diego from this redo party. He reconnects with his mom, which is good. But then he tells Liz that he can't marry her yet, which I guess is better than marrying her if he's not ready. But also, it's just like, you just dragged this woman to Arkansas. She had to, like, go through meeting all of your family. So then they break up for the 10th time. And he basically kicks Liz and her daughter out of the house with no real notice and nowhere to go.
Oh gosh, that reminds me of another reality show where that happened. I've spoken about it, like, on another video way before, and it's like, that is not cool.
No. Especially when there's a kid involved. But even if there isn't, you can't just kick somebody out and not, like, at least help them find another place. Apparently they were couch surfing for a while. Very sus. Do not like.
Oh my god.
How many somebody tell us how many red flags are up now, because it's a lot.
That's so many red flags, and we're still going.
So then, after they've broken up the 10th time, they go on another, like, reunion tell-all episode, because there's always one at the end of all these different shows in the universe. It is revealed on this tell-all that he has been talking to his ex Rose behind her back. You remember Rose? He was trying to slide back into Rose's DMs. Yeah, he was trying to go back to the Philippines to see Rose again. During all of this...
That's why he called her a secret lesbian, so she would break up with him and be like, Rose, I'm so sad.
Oh, that's so smart. He also misspelled Philippines in his text to Rose because, of course, there were receipts. The host, Sean, is just like, so you haven't been talking to your ex, right? I'm like, what do they know? The producers know something. So this happens. It also comes out that he was on dating apps, which he swears he hadn't been on in a year and a half. She looks into his, like, account, which I don't know how she got into the account. I feel like a producer probably, like, found out that this existed and was just like, hey, Liz, here's a thing. But anyway, there were messages that he sent from 2 hours prior, meaning while they were there for the taping, he was texting other people. They're supposedly back together at this point. Yeah, they've gotten back together at this point. So while they're on the tell-all being like, we're in a great place, this is the best our relationship's ever been, he's texting other girls on a dating app. Everyone sticks up for Liz in this situation. Even the people that are, like, also people that have a crazy reputation as far as, like, reality TV go are like, hey man, that's fucked up.
Some people just want just the level, just seeing what people will do to maintain control over a lot of people is just...
Oh, yeah. No, so speaking of control, they're in New York for this taping when all of this goes down, and Liz finds all of this out, and she's distraught. He leaves, and leaves her in New York. They were supposed to go home together. He just leaves her there. I mean, I'm sure the producers, like, helped her get home, but still, it's a really shitty thing to do, and it says a lot about him as a person. So they've broken up for the 11th time.
Let me guess, this isn't over yet.
They get back together.
Oh my god! He kicked you and your daughter out of his house. You were couch surfing. He calls you a secret lesbian, and because you hugged a friend.
At some point, you gotta stop taking him back. Like, I don't
understand.
I don't mean to, like, victim blame or anything, but, like, 12? You took him back the 12th time?
And after you knew he was trying to get back together with Rose behind your back and was messaging people on a dating app 2 hours before, like, the moment you were caught.
I was really on Liz's side for as long as I could be in this situation. Because it's like, okay, you're together, you break up, you're like, oh, what did I do? You get back together. Okay, fine. You probably grew from that experience once. Twice, maybe you both get a whoopsie doodle, and you both get to completely mess up and be like, oh, whoops, and then get back together. Okay, cool. Maybe you're stronger people now. By the third time, I have some questions, and then there's 8 additional times on top of that need to be accounted for before we get to the amount of times they've broken up and gotten back together.
Oh, I just want to know the why. Like, he's shown you who he is.
And Liz is, like, so gorgeous, and she seems like a lovely person. Like, that's 16 Leo's thing, too. He's like, Liz, why? What is he providing you that no one else can? And it's sad because it's like when you get into, like, that cycle, I think some people, and I don't know if this is, you know, how Liz specifically feels as a person, but sometimes people can feel like, oh, this is the best I can do and I've already invested so much and like no one else is going to put up with me. That's not true. If you're out there thinking that, you can do better.
Yeah.
Please. If anything in this has reminded you of your own relationship, please, this is a PSA. I'm not a relationship expert. I'm Demi, and I've never really had a real relationship, but I know that 12 times is a lot of times to break up and get back together.
Yeah, I just want to see, I just want to know why, but I don't want to be like, I'm going to go date someone 12 times to see how they feel. And I'm just like, is it...
For science.
For science. Yeah, I'm just like, is it the reality show where they're just playing characters? Is it he gaslit her so much and to the point where she just feels that he's the best she can do? No offense to Big Ed, but it's just like, you did cheat on her.
I was convinced that this was just kind of like a reality show relationship, which honestly, that's their prerogative. I wouldn't fault them for that. But that's their thing. But honestly, she's so, like, the way that she is broken down crying and the way that he's broken down crying, I don't think that level of acting is usually found in TLC. You know?
Yeah, when you can see, like, the tears and the red eyes.
It feels real,
like, oh.
And that's what's... Like, I would prefer if this was a reality show relationship where, like, behind the scenes they have thriving relationships with other people, and this, like, toxic cycle is just for TLC's benefit, and everybody's just, I don't know, getting their bag. That would be better.
Yeah.
That'd be better than actual trauma happening.
Yeah, I just sit through so many reality TV shows and I just see the toxic relationships and I'm like, how can these people for several months like be like this? It just reminds me of Kristen from Vanderpump Rules, and there were just so many episodes where I physically was just like emotionally drained after seeing her and Scandival, like,
I was tired just making these notes. Poor 16 Leo. By the way, we're going over this in just one podcast episode. Again, he's done almost 40 videos. Every time, like, an episode comes out, he watched all of it and had to do videos on all of it. So good for him.
I hope he's getting that good YouTube revenue for their trauma.
It is one of his most popular series, so that's good. I'm glad of that for him. But the reason, apparently, that they decided to give it a 12th try, the old college 12th try, one for every try that you were in primary school. That's the college try. The 12th. I just made that up.
Oh.
But it's just, I've never known anybody else to get back together for a 12th time. 12 times? I'm not over this.
12 times?
The whole time? So, apparently that happened because a couple of weeks after the tell-all, where she got left in New York, he had shoulder surgery and I was in recovery, and so she came back and helped him and felt bad for him and like, so they got back together. So then 90 Day Fiance decides to put them on a spin-off show called The Last Resort. Very foreboding title. It is a show in the 90 Day universe where couples go on a 2-week retreat to see if they can salvage whatever's left of their messed up relationship. I'm so glad that we're encouraging all of this on TV.
Mm-hmm.
Like, therapy is good, fix your relationship, but like, pretty much most of the couples from what was portrayed seem like they probably shouldn't be trying to make it work for various reasons, especially Big Ed and Liz, but you know, that's just my outside perspective. What do I know? So they send him out to a retreat. That's the premise of the show. They're like all out, and it's sort of like MILF Manor, but if everybody was already together and in a failed relationship at that point, they're all in a big house or resort together. Mr. and Mrs. 12 times the charm. That's what I wrote down in my notes because apparently I was just this over it. Are perfect candidates for this show. I was telling you a little bit about this. There's an incident where, like, Ed gets into a fight with a girl in a hot tub, and he flashes her, and then she flashes him, and then it escalates, and then Liz gets splashed because she gets in the crossfires, and then she's crying because, like, he didn't, like, stick up for her. It's a whole thing. There's a lot of alcohol involved. You know how reality TV shows are.
Oh gosh, there was not a drop of water near anybody except for the only water that was available was hot tub water, pool water, or ocean water.
Or, I'm sorry. Liz isn't mad at him for not sticking up for her. Ed is mad at Liz for not defending him enough. I forgot that part, even though I just recently took these notes because it's very silly. He's the one that got into a fight and then was like, you didn't stick up for me.
Oh gosh, I see that so many times, and it's just like, well, you... Maybe you should deal with your issues better. Anyway, yeah.
Yeah, so she sleeps on the couch. And then the next morning... she's crying. She calls her mom. Her mom's like, dump his ass because she's a good mom, from what we can see. And then later they have you remember that episode of MILF Manor with all the fruits and vegetables?
Yes.
Yeah, they have kind of a slightly more medical, but still with vegetables version of that. Anyway, she says he's bad at all of that in front of everybody.
Then why are you with him?
Right?
His personality.
Yeah, I mean, he broke up with her. They broke up 11 times. The personality has to be annihilated at some point, right?
Yeah.
10 of those times was him breaking up, 9 of those times was him breaking up with her over text. Only 9.
Only 9.
So they get into another fight, which ends when both of them start crying at the thought of the other one dying. It's a very healthy situation from what I can see. But anyway, they're on the porch, they're crying about, like, what if I ever lost you? And he's like, well, what if I ever lost you? And then they're back together. And then, like, I mean, technically they didn't break up that time. I'm not counting that time. They were just on the rocks. But they're, like, fine now. So then, because this season of this show is ongoing right now. So I've gotten us almost back to, we have driven almost all the way back to where we started at like a slow cruise. There's a couple other things that happen. Just an honorable mention, Ed goes to hypnotherapy and thinks that he was a leprechaun in a past life in the 1600s.
Okay.
He does like the past life regression therapy, which, not knocking it, if it works for you, whatever. But he sees himself as a leprechaun in the 1600s. And that's just so silly to me. The thumbnail for the 16 Leo video is very good. It's just his face superimposed on like a leprechaun's face.
Oh my god.
It says leprechaun?
I really want to do an Irish accent, but it's like I don't want anyone to be like, "How dare you?"
Oh, the luck of the Irish. That kind of one? Yeah. I'll do it. Okay. I'm part Irish. You can be mad at me. Anyway.
Don't be mad at Avery, please.
So then they send out, in all of their infinite TLC wisdom, they send out, this is in the most recent episode that aired on Monday. They send all the guys out to a strip club, and then I guess there's another guy who's like, this is so shady of the TLC producers, because there's one guy who like has a history of cheating with strippers. This is where they decide to send all of them, and Ed outs him for getting the stripper's number. This starts a fight. They're on a yacht, by the way, so picture them out in the middle of open water, or in the middle of water. They're out on the water when this happens. This starts a fight between Ed and this other guy. Then Ed brings the other guy's daughter into it, which is like, don't do that. No, please don't do that. No. So then the other guy goes to punch Ed. Don't do that either. Producers have to step in before, because he's like literally about to take a swing. Liz also jumps in the middle because she sees that Ed is about to be physically assaulted. Did he pick this fight himself? Yes, but should he get punched in the face? No. So she's like, don't punch my fiance in the face. Or like, she says she doesn't know if they're fiancés or not. because of the everything, which is depressing. So then Ed gets mad at her for sticking up for him because bullshit gender roles. Remember like 5 minutes ago when I told you he was mad that she didn't stick up for him? Now he's mad that she did.
Or it's like, you have to defend me when people verbally yell at me after I cause a situation where them to verbally yell at me, but when they're about to punch me, you don't do anything because women are fragile. They are not. But I'm just saying that's probably his thought process. I'm over exaggerating. I don't think women are fragile.
All those unhealthy like thoughts that like women are less physically capable of like fighting that all are just like rooted in sexism. Where it's just like women can't fight.
How dare you try to take on this man who tried to punch me? I can handle myself.
Yeah. But anyway, dear viewers, by the time you see this, there should have been at least one, if not two more episodes that have aired. So if any of you watch this show, you'll have to tell me in the comments what happened because I'm not watching this show.
Yeah.
I'll probably get my information through 16 Leo and then be like, oh, I guess that happened.
Yeah, we need to give 16 Leo the revenue.
I've said his name so many times, but he deserves the revenue at this point. He's down in the trenches with this one. So thank you, 16 Leo, for all of this information. And that is where we are on that. I feel like I just put you through the worst moment of your entire life. I'm so sorry.
No, someone else gets to raise their hand on that one. But there is nothing in my mind when I said that. I just said that to be like, cool. But eggs are cute. Yeah, that was I want to say I'm surprised, but I'm not really surprised. But I kind of just want to look at Liz and be like, run.
Every time you think it can't get worse, it does. Right. Like when I remember when the 16 Leo video came out where he called her a secret lesbian, and I was like, oh, that's gonna do it for real this time, right? You've got that many trust issues. You're like, you're a secret lesbian. And Ed keeps going out of his way to be like, there's nothing wrong with being a lesbian, which there isn't. But that's not why she's mad at you, Ed. Nobody's implying that being a lesbian is weird. People are just saying, you're about to marry this woman, and you're like, you're a secret lesbian.
Don't worry, Rose, she'll break up with me this time. But
I didn't even think about that, but honestly, that's kind of interesting to think about.
I'm just imagining Rose being like, you know what, we're never getting back together. Let me just... Oh, yeah, totally. If you break up, I'll totally take you back. Rose is probably like, how dare you put words into my mouth?
Rose is doing great without him. Rose does not need Big Ed or TLC's money. She is thriving, and we love that for her.
Or this is kind of similar to our Ariana in the Scandival situation, where she's just, 30 and flirty and thriving, and she's on Dancing with the Stars right now.
I got really annoyed when people started getting annoyed with her, like, oh, she's profiting off of it. It's like, yes.
Do you want to just be like, no, I don't want to do your Duracell commercial because I don't want your money and the criticism that people are giving me.
Get your bag. You got cheated on.
Yeah, for 9 years. You wasted 9 years of your life dedicated to this person.
Plus that Duracell commercial was hilarious.
It was, and just the, her going to the closet with the paper towels and toilet paper because he was like, dude, I'm the only one buying paper towels and toilet paper, dude. That's how Ronnie and Ben imitate Sandoval. So I'm like, dude.
But yeah, we love Rose. I honestly...
Or I'm not waving the red flag at Rose. I'm waving it just Ed in general.
Yeah, that's just for Ed. Ed is a walking 4'11" red flag.
Yeah, and I'm sure a lot of people are like, can we talk about the fact that he like flashed someone and how that's not okay?
No, it's not. And then the lady flashed him, which is also not okay. Don't flash people. Like, nobody should flash people.
Yeah,
just don't do that.
Yeah, don't do that. Unless you're like, hey, can I flash you? And they're like, sure.
Yeah, I mean, consent.
Depending on the scenario has to be right. Don't just randomly be like, woo!
Don't flash a coworker while you're taping an episode of this already weird show that's just there to make TLC a little bit more money.
TLC is just like, oh no, How much dough is this raking us in? I don't know. Okay, quick, put MILF Man or 2 on the back burner. The strike is still going.
Yo, you know what? I take it back. Keep Big Ed on TLC if that's what it takes. Please, 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 please. Don't make us cover MILF Manor season 2, please.
Pay your actors. Hopefully negotiations go well.
Please, because if not, we're just going to have to keep bringing you these reality as if we didn't already love talking about reality TV.
I mean, again, I still have notes about Naked and Afraid that are on my phone that I'm like, I don't want to get rid of these.
And I almost called it Model Land. America's Next Top Model.
Side note. This is really random. Sorry, I'm freaking out. Sorry. Last night I was on Instagram and I have been following a lot of D&D content, and someone was talking about how they just want to throw random monsters at it. It's not a simple monster, but they want to throw random monsters at the people playing, and they're like, oh, they're on a pirate ship, and then they notice these fists that come out of the water, and they all have eyes on them, and they're attached to the head of a giant, and they're the victim, and it uses the eyes, or it uses the hands as like eyes and stuff, because it's the hands of the victims that the giant head took from people. And I was sitting here and I'm like,
Tyra Banks, is that you?
I was just thinking that. I was just like, oh my god, this is where Tyra got the idea for the Symbol Monster. D&D. Model Land is the giant D&D campaign that just went wrong the entire time.
You know, it honestly would kind of be a fun D&D campaign.
Oh gosh, where it's just like, oh no, this is supposed to be fun. Oh, random monster encounter. Oh no. But
you roll a nat 1, your arms get ripped off. You're like, no.
Yeah, and it's like, okay, I'm rolling for like the random creatures that may be encountered. A symbol, a worm with legs with sharp teeth.
Perry the platypus.
a flute monster.
I saw a short where it was reposted from Dan Povenmire's TikTok. There was this girl that was doing like a sexy Perry the platypus cosplay, and he just stitched it and goes, Perry the platypus? And then you just hear the from off camera. He goes, oh no, he's over there. That makes more sense. It was very cute. She was a lovely Perry the platypus. It was just funny. His face said, I did not see this coming when I made that character.
But yeah, sorry. I just thought of when you said Model M, my first thought was this video that I saw on Instagram of the hands of the victims, and they have eyes on them, and I was just like, the Symbol Monster.
Ooh. So yeah, in conclusion, TLC must be stopped.
Yeah, I just and can someone explain to me why Liz keeps coming back? I don't understand.
It's just your question is the same as everybody's question. It's just like, you can do better.
Yeah, and I know a lot of individuals are probably going to say, well, Big Ed's behavior is being rewarded, so of course he's going to keep doing it, and he's probably paid to keep doing it like that. So unless he has like a come to religion moment or come to higher power moment where he's like, wait a second, this is wrong. I can't let money speak for me. I'm being too toxic.
And again, if it comes out that like all of this is just for the cameras and behind the scenes they have a super healthy relationship, honestly, good.
Yes.
That's the best outcome. I would love to know that this is all just for TV, right?
Yeah, and don't send hate to anybody.
No. And don't judge anybody based off of their, reality TV persona. This is just what happened like in the reality TV saga. Who knows how real it is.
But don't act like this in real life.
Yeah, but we can take some lessons from what not to do from the reality TV personas. So, yeah. With that,
what should we do now that in 2020
we could go hold the camera for all when they did the Princess Bride at home movie where it was all the little clips that everybody did. We could go volunteer our services from a safe distance away.
We'll be the PA/interns. I can put that's what people are going to do. They're going to go back in time to get the experience that jobs are asking for minimum wage.
Yeah, exactly. That's the only way you can get a decent job nowadays.
Exactly. Oh, I see you have 10 years of experience in this. How? I went back in time. It's fine. Anyway.
But yeah, thank you guys for being here. Thank you for watching. Be sure to follow Gabe on Gabriel Custic. If you're watching on YouTube, you already know where to follow me. But if you're not, if you're just listening with your ears, Avery talks about stuff. You can find the video versions of all of these podcasts. Spencer does a wonderful job with the edit. And yeah, be sure to leave us a review, 5 stars, rate, all the things. I'm learning.
Yeah.
I swear I listen to podcasts, but I think it's my ADHD brain when they're like, okay, guys, bye. I'm already to the next episode. I'm sorry, podcasters. I don't know what I'm supposed to tell you to do. But thank you guys.
Thank you.
Yeah. Bye, guys. See you next time.
Execute.
Woo! Flash warning.
Flash.
Woo!
Woo.